I think they're watching Black Clover. So anything others recommendation to improve board intuition and recognize opportunities? Intuition is experience and study. So, if you're improving your intuition, first you need to play lots of games. Second is study. So that means you can watch like the Back to Basics series. You can watch pro games. You can watch pro reviews. Game reviews is really important for improving your intuition as well. Probably the most efficient is reviewing it, then having a strong player review it with you as well. But if you say that you can solve them outside of the game, but don't recognize them in the moment of the actual game, that means you don't recognize what's actually happening. So, if you are... here's a very common example. Is you can solve a life and death problem, but when it comes up in the game, you don't notice it until it's too late. This is a very common problem. So, how do you do this? Well, the first thing you need to note is you check the life and death, or you should read it and treat it as a life and death problem after a group is surrounded. That's when it officially becomes a life and death problem. Then you change gears. Instead of make a base, run away, etc., etc., once it's surrounded, it's a life and death problem, you switch gears. It becomes make ice space, fight the Vita Point. Then you use your life and death tactics, like you expand ice space / reduce ice space. You check Tiger's Mouths, first line to Suji's. You check the 1-2 point. Just stuff like that. You switch gears. So the first thing is recognize when your group is completely surrounded. The immediate recognition. The second thing is reduce the ice shape to a certain shape when you're trying to check what the shape on the inside is. Reduce the ice shape to a shape that you know, that you can read, that you can solve. So bring the borders down or check the forcing moves. Check the shape on the inside, and that's the life and death problem. So you can expand your ice space to increase the shape. You can play a Vita Point of the shape, or whatever you need to do. But the biggest thing that you're probably messing up with the life and death stuff is you don't immediately notice when you're surrounded. When you're surrounded, that's when you need to shift gears. And I think that's a prime example of what your question was on how to improve intuition. Intuition is, first and foremost, recognizing when something is a thing. So recognizing when you have Sente. That's when you don't have to respond anymore. That's when you're not weak. That's when you have a base. That's when you're okay. Or that's when you have no more forcing moves. And you need to get to that next big move. Recognizing when you're in a life and death problem. Recognizing when you need Sente. Recognizing when there's an open side and when there's not an open side. These things you first and foremost improve with study and practice. And the second thing is you need to notice what you're actually looking for. So if it's a life and death, you need to notice when you're surrounded. If it's getting to a big move, you need to notice when you have Sente and when you don't. What that means is you need to make a base or you need to defend yourself before you can Tanuki. But if you're attacking, you need to attack and Sente. That's great. But you need to keep Sente and still get to the next big move. So you need to recognize what's actually going on in order to improve the ability to answer your intuition questions. Does that make sense? I don't know if I explained that properly, but hopefully that makes sense.